Imagine waking up 10 years from today. You're standing in front of a mirror. The same dreams are still there. The same goals you talked about. The same life you said you wanted. But nothing changed. Not because you weren't capable. Not because you didn't have time. Not because the world was against you. But because every day you said, tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll start. Tomorrow I'll work harder. Tomorrow I'll take my life seriously. And suddenly, tomorrow turned into 10 years. Listen carefully, your life is not waiting for you to get comfortable. Every minute you spend making excuses is a minute your dreams are quietly slipping away. So today, right now, this moment is a decision point. Either you continue the cycle of excuses or you take control of your life. And that begins with 6 powerful truths. The first and most powerful shift you must make in life is accepting complete responsibility for where you are right now. This is not easy because the human mind naturally looks for something else to blame when things go wrong. It's easier to point at the past, at other people, at bad luck, or at circumstances beyond your control. But the moment you begin blaming everything around you, you quietly surrender your power to change your future. Responsibility is not about punishing yourself for mistakes. It is about realizing that your life moves in the direction of your decisions. When you accept that truth, you stop waiting for someone else to fix your problems and start taking action to fix them yourself. Many people spend years trapped in this cycle of excuses. They say they would succeed if they had better opportunities, better connections, more money, more support, or better timing. But history is full of individuals who started with far less and still built extraordinary lives. The difference is not luck. It is ownership. The people who rise above their circumstances refuse to let their environment define them. They understand that while they cannot control every event that happens to them, they can control their response. And that response becomes the foundation of their progress. The moment you say, "This is my responsibility," you take back the control that excuses have been stealing from you. Taking responsibility also means being brutally honest with yourself. It means acknowledging the habits that have been holding you back. Maybe you've been procrastinating when you should have been working. Maybe you've been wasting time on distractions that add nothing to your life. Maybe you've been afraid to take risks because failure seemed too uncomfortable. Radical responsibility requires you to face those truths without hiding from them. It requires the courage to admit that some of the obstacles in your life were created by your own choices. That honesty can feel uncomfortable at first, but it is also incredibly liberating because once you recognize the source of the problem, you gain the ability to change it. Another powerful aspect of responsibility is understanding that your future is not determined by your past. Many people carry their past mistakes like heavy chains, constantly reminding themselves of what went wrong. They replay old failures in their minds and use them as proof that success is out of reach. But responsibility shifts that perspective completely. Instead of using the past as an excuse, you use it as a lesson. Every mistake becomes information. Every failure becomes experience. When you take responsibility for learning from those moments instead of running from them, your past stops being a prison and becomes a training ground for the future you want to build. Responsibility also transforms the way you approach challenges. When something difficult happens, most people immediately ask, "Why is this happening to me?" That question places them in the role of a victim, but a responsible mindset asks a different question. What can I do about it? That small shift in thinking changes everything. It moves your focus away from complaining and toward problem solving. Instead of waiting for conditions to improve, You begin creating better conditions through your actions. Each time you respond this way, you strengthen your ability to adapt, grow, and move forward regardless of the obstacles in front of you. Finally, radical responsibility builds a level of personal power that excuses can never provide. When you truly accept that your life is in your hands, you stop wasting energy on blame and start investing that energy into improvement. You become more disciplined, more focused, and more determined because you understand that every choice matters. Your daily habits, your attitude, your work ethic, and your persistence begin shaping a different reality. Responsibility is not a burden, it is the gateway to freedom. Because once you accept that your life belongs to you, you also realize that the power to change it has been within you all along. Time is the one resource in life that is completely non-renewable. You can earn back money you spend, repair relationships you neglect, and regain health you once lost, but you can never get back a single second that passes. Yet most people treat time as if it is unlimited. They scroll endlessly on social media, binge watch shows, postpone tasks, and delay dreams with the excuse of later. Every day they act like the clock is on pause, when in reality, life is moving forward without waiting for anyone. The sad truth is that most people realize the value of time only after years have passed, and by then, opportunities have already slipped through their fingers. The problem is compounded because time doesn't feel scarce when it's happening. A day seems long when you're bored, a week seems long when you're working, and a year seems long when you look back. But in reality, it moves faster than you think. While you're hesitating, someone else is taking action, making progress, and closing the gap between where they are and where they want to be. Every hour wasted is an advantage given to those who refuse to wait for the perfect moment. Success doesn't reward waiting. It rewards those who act now. The sooner you understand this, the sooner you stop taking your time for granted. To value time is to treat it as the most sacred currency in your life. You cannot buy more of it, borrow more of it, or earn more of it in a way that reverses what's already lost. Every task, every habit, every decision carries weight. The person who works consistently, even in small increments over months and years, will ultimately accomplish far more than someone waiting for the ideal conditions or a surge of inspiration. Understanding this principle forces a shift in mindset. Procrastination becomes unacceptable, and urgency becomes your ally. Every moment must be consciously directed toward progress. Another crucial part of valuing time is prioritization. Most people spend hours on things that don't matter, thinking they are being productive. They fill their days with distractions, endless scrolling, meaningless meetings, or shallow social interactions, while ignoring actions that could truly shape their future. Learning to say no becomes a superpower. When you dedicate your limited time to high impact activities, you multiply the value of each hour. The secret of high achievers is not that they work more than others, but that they invest their time with purpose. They understand that minutes accumulate into life-changing outcomes, and wasted minutes accumulate into lost dreams. Time also teaches a harsh but valuable lesson about equality. Everyone gets the same 24 hours, no exceptions. Billionaires, students, parents, and workers all have the same daily allotment. The difference lies not in the amount of time, but in how it is used. Some squander it, while others ruthlessly protect it. This is why your choices matter more than circumstances. You cannot control the calendar, the seasons, or the passage of days, but you can control your actions within the time you are given. When you internalize this, you begin treating every hour as an opportunity rather than a burden. Finally, embracing the value of time fuels urgency in action. It transforms dreams from abstract ideas into pressing imperatives. You realize that if your goal matters, delaying action is the only thing standing between you and success. Every day, you can choose to invest in growth, skills, relationships, and experiences, or you can squander it in comfort and distraction. Life doesn't pause for your readiness. The clock is always ticking, silently reminding you that every second lost is gone forever. When you fully grasp this, hesitation becomes intolerable, procrastination becomes impossible, and you step into life with a speed, intensity, and focus that separates the mediocre from the unstoppable. Motivation feels powerful, doesn't it? That rush of excitement you get when you hear a speech, read an inspiring quote, or imagine the life you want. It lights a fire inside you. But motivation is fleeting. It comes in waves, sometimes strong, sometimes weak, and it is entirely dependent on how you feel in that moment. Some mornings you wake up energized, ready to tackle the world. Other mornings you wake up tired, discouraged, or unmotivated. If you rely solely on motivation to achieve your goals, you will be inconsistent at best and unsuccessful at worst. Motivation is the spark, discipline is the fuel that keeps the fire burning long after the spark fades. Discipline is the ability to do what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it. It is the choice to push forward when your body is tired, your mind is weary, and the world is tempting you with comfort. While motivation is emotional, discipline is structural. It doesn't wait for feelings to align. It doesn't negotiate with excuses. It simply acts. People who achieve extraordinary results understand this principle. They cannot rely on inspiration every day. So they build systems, habits, and routines that guarantee progress regardless of their mood. Discipline turns action into a habit, and habits compound into results. One of the most powerful aspects of discipline is that it creates momentum. When you commit to consistent action, each step builds on the previous one. You begin to see progress, however small, and that progress fuels further action. Motivation may bring you to the starting line, but discipline carries you across the finish line. The most successful people are rarely those who wait to feel ready. They are those who wake up day after day, follow their routines, and keep moving forward even when every part of them wants to quit. Discipline is the bridge between potential and achievement. Discipline also strengthens your mental resilience. Life is full of distractions, setbacks, and obstacles, and relying on fleeting motivation leaves you vulnerable to these interruptions. But when you cultivate discipline, you develop an inner fortitude that allows you to push through adversity. You train your mind to say, I will do the work, no matter how I feel. This mindset transforms challenges from roadblocks into opportunities. It teaches you that action is non-negotiable, while excuses are optional. The stronger your discipline becomes, the less power external circumstances have over your progress. Another critical point is that discipline creates freedom over time. The irony is that the more disciplined you are, the more choices you eventually gain. People who wait for motivation are slaves to their emotions. They do what feels good in the moment, often sacrificing long-term results. Disciplined individuals, on the other hand, invest their effort in high-priority areas consistently. Over time, this builds skills, wealth, relationships, and confidence. They are not limited by temporary feelings. They have mastered themselves, and that mastery creates opportunities that would otherwise remain out of reach. Finally, discipline distinguishes those who achieve from those who dream. Many people have brilliant ideas, bold goals, and limitless potential, but they fail because they never commit to doing the work every day. Discipline transforms vision into reality. It is the unseen force behind every great accomplishment. You don't need to feel like it. You don't need to be inspired. You only need to decide that no matter how you feel, you will take consistent, relentless action toward your goals. This is the difference between wishing for success and earning it. Comfort feels safe, doesn't it? It's familiar, predictable, and easy. Most people spend their lives chasing comfort, avoiding risk, staying in the same routine, and surrounding themselves with the familiar. But here's the hard truth: comfort is the silent killer of dreams. Every moment you choose comfort over challenge, every time you settle for what's easy instead of what's meaningful, you are quietly shrinking your potential. Growth never happens in comfort. If you want a life that inspires, motivates, and pushes the limits of what's possible, you must learn to embrace discomfort. Discomfort is where transformation begins. Every major achievement requires stepping into the unknown, trying things you've never done before, and taking risks that feel risky. That promotion you want may require learning skills that intimidate you. The business you dream of starting will involve challenges that make you question your abilities. Even building mental and physical strength requires pushing beyond your limits. Discomfort is not a sign that you're doing something wrong. It's a signal that you're growing. Those who seek comfort will stagnate, while those who lean into discomfort evolve. One of the biggest reasons people avoid growth is fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of losing what they already have. But here's the secret: every success story is built on moments of fear overcome. Every person who achieved greatness faced uncertainty, risk, and doubt, and chose to act anyway. Courage is not the absence of fear, it's action despite fear. Every uncomfortable step you take builds resilience, character, and confidence. The more often you step into discomfort, the less fear controls you, and the more powerful you become in shaping your life. Discomfort also forces clarity. When you are pushed outside your comfort zone, you are forced to confront your weaknesses, limitations, and hidden potential. It exposes the habits, mindsets, and beliefs that are holding you back. That painful moment when you feel overwhelmed is a signal you're being stretched. Growth doesn't happen in ease. It happens in the tension between what is and what could be. Embracing discomfort allows you to identify exactly what needs to change in order to reach the next level. Every challenge becomes a lesson, every obstacle a teacher. Another vital point is that comfort breeds complacency. The longer you stay comfortable, the more excuses you create to justify staying still. I'll start tomorrow, you say. It's too risky, you tell yourself. I'm not ready yet, you reason. Meanwhile, life moves forward without you. Your goals, dreams, and potential are waiting, but they are not waiting forever. People who take uncomfortable action consistently are the ones who end up ahead, not because they have more luck, but because they chose to act when others hesitated. They understand that growth is rarely convenient. It's always uncomfortable. Finally, learning to embrace discomfort rewires your mind for success. The more you practice stepping outside your comfort zone, the less intimidating challenges become. You begin to see risk as opportunity, struggle as a stepping stone, and failure as feedback. Life stops being a series of safe choices and becomes a playground for bold action. The moment you choose discomfort over comfort consistently, you unlock the ability to grow faster, achieve more, and build a life that far exceeds the limitations of what you thought was possible. Your environment, the people you spend time with, the media you consume, and the spaces you inhabit has a far greater impact on your life than most people realize. It's not just a backdrop, it's a driving force that subtly shapes your thoughts, behaviors, and decisions every single day. If you surround yourself with negativity, complacency, and excuses, those influences will slowly seep into your mindset, making you adopt the same habits and limitations. On the other hand, if you surround yourself with ambition, drive, and purpose, you naturally start to elevate your thinking, standards, and actions. Your environment can either be a cage that holds you back or a launch pad that propels you forward. Most people underestimate how contagious energy is. Have you ever noticed how a single negative person can drain a room, or how a motivated, focused individual can inspire everyone around them? That's not coincidence, it's influence. The thoughts, attitudes, and habits of those you consistently engage with shape your worldview and your level of ambition. When your inner circle accepts mediocrity, you are more likely to settle as well. But when your environment is full of people who push themselves, challenge norms, and refuse to quit, their mindset rubs off on you. Success is rarely achieved in isolation. It is cultivated in an ecosystem of growth-minded individuals. Your environment also dictates the expectations you have for yourself. If you live in a world where success seems distant, rare, or unattainable, you are more likely to limit your goals. Conversely, if you surround yourself with people who achieve, innovate, and take bold actions, your own expectations rise. You begin to see what is possible, not what is convenient. Exposure to excellence, ambition, and action trains your mind to operate at a higher level. You unconsciously adopt the habits, work ethic, and thinking patterns of the people and spaces you frequent most. This principle applies not only to people, but to every aspect of your surroundings. The content you consume, books, podcasts, social media, news, also feeds your mind. Endless scrolling through distraction-filled feeds, watching people complain or argue, or listening to negative conversations can keep you stuck in limiting beliefs. Conversely, reading inspiring books, watching motivational content, and listening to thought leaders can accelerate your growth. Your environment sets the standard for your daily mental input, which then dictates your actions and results. Sometimes, improving your environment requires difficult decisions. You may need to distance yourself from toxic relationships, reduce time spent in negative spaces, or eliminate habits that drain your energy. These choices are uncomfortable because they challenge the status quo, but they are necessary for transformation. Growth cannot coexist with influences that set your potential. By consciously curating your surroundings, you reinforce the behaviors, mindset, and habits that align with the life you want to build. Your environment becomes a reflection of your aspirations rather than your excuses. Finally, your environment amplifies accountability. When you are surrounded by driven, focused individuals, you are naturally held to higher standards. You begin to internalize discipline, ambition, and resilience as normal behaviors rather than optional ones. Every interaction, every conversation, and every shared experience becomes an opportunity to level up. Conversely, staying in a negative or stagnant environment makes mediocrity feel normal, and your progress slows without you even realizing it. The people, spaces, and inputs you allow into your life are either fueling your dreams or draining them. There is no neutral ground. Most people wait for the perfect moment to change their lives. They say, I'll start next year, or I'll begin when I have more resources, or I'll act when everything feels right. But here's the truth: there is no perfect moment. Life will never hand you a day without challenges, without fear, without uncertainty. Waiting for everything to align perfectly is a trap, a way to postpone action indefinitely. The best time to change your life is not in the future. It is this moment, this second, this choice to act. Procrastination is the silent thief of potential. Every day you wait, you lose valuable time that could have been spent building your skills, growing your mindset, or taking steps toward your goals. The longer you delay, the more your excuses compound, and the harder it becomes to start. That's why the decision to act now is so critical. It breaks the cycle of delay before it solidifies into a lifetime of, I'll do it later. Action is the antidote to stagnation. Every step you take today sets in motion a chain reaction that shapes your tomorrow. Change often feels intimidating because it requires stepping into the unknown. Most people fear what they cannot predict or control, but the truth is that growth always begins in discomfort. The fear you feel is a sign that you're about to expand, that you're about to leave old habits and limitations behind. Choosing to act despite that fear is the first proof that you are committed to building a life of purpose. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's the willingness to move forward even when fear is present. Each small act of courage compounds into massive transformation over time. Another important aspect is momentum. The first action you take today creates a ripple effect that influences everything that follows. When you decide to start, even in a small way, you gain clarity, confidence, and direction. That momentum carries you forward, making the next action easier, the next decision sharper, and the next day more productive. In contrast, hesitation breeds doubt, which breeds more hesitation. The moment you act, the cycle reverses. You gain power, control, and forward motion that was impossible while waiting. Time also magnifies the importance of starting now. 1 year from today, the person who began today will be far ahead of the one who waits. 10 years from today, the gap is unimaginable. Every successful person, no matter their background, understood the power of starting before conditions were perfect. They acted with urgency, leveraged every opportunity, and refused to let later become a lifetime. The choices you make in this moment compound over time. Acting now is not just about today. It's about the trajectory of your entire life. Finally, acting now is a declaration of self-responsibility. It is a commitment that you will no longer let excuses, fear, or uncertainty control your destiny. It signals a mindset shift from passivity to intentionality, from waiting to creating. Every day that you act with purpose builds momentum, strengthens your character, and reinforces the belief that you are capable of achieving greatness. Life will not pause for your readiness. The only way to claim it is to act decisively, starting right now, with the understanding that your best opportunity to change, grow, and create the life you want exists this very moment. So here's the question you must face. How much longer will you keep waiting? How many more days, months, or years will you give to excuses, fear, and comfort while your potential quietly slips away? Your dreams are not waiting for you to feel ready. They are not waiting for the perfect time, the perfect opportunity, or the perfect version of yourself. They are waiting for action. They are waiting for the moment you decide that nothing, no fear, no setback, no distraction will stand between you and the life you were meant to live. Today is your turning point. Today is the day you step out of excuses, step out of fear, and step fully into responsibility, discipline, and courage. The life you want is not a distant possibility. It is a choice you make with every decision you take right now. So stop waiting for tomorrow. Stop hoping that motivation will magically appear. Stop blaming circumstances or waiting for conditions to be perfect. The time to act is now. The power to change is in your hands, and the life you've been dreaming of is waiting on the other side of the courage you show today. No more excuses. No more delays. No more wasted years. Stand up, take control, step forward, and begin building the life that is ready for you right now.